Hey everybody, I'm the MoeChicken. Welcome to my stream. We're gonna play Castlevania tonight. Mostly because I was kind of bantering back and forth with myself. It's like, do I want to stream? Do I not want to stream? I kind of wasn't feeling it at first, and then I realized that the thing I was going to be doing if I didn't stream was just playing Castlevania. So I figured, whatever, I'll just play it on stream. So this stream is basically just gonna be kind of like a sort of a low energy vibing stream where I play Castlevania. So that sounds interesting to you? Come on board. Otherwise, I'll try to be more interesting on Thursday. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Blah. Yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't really feeling like I know I still do I think we are probably going to start playing Metal Gear for the MSX as our next like other series, so to speak. But I don't know, I didn't feel like it tonight. Let's see. Yeah, y'all can hear the music. I just want to make sure. So let's see. What are we gonna do? So I believe in the last time we streamed this, we did chapter 7 and 8. Or did we do chapter 7 and 8? Or 7 and 9? Are we done 8 yet? I don't know. Let's go chapter 8. Let's go, actually, hang on. Let's go chapter 8 on hard. So, I've been playing, you know, on my own, just sometimes. Most the characters I'm primarily using are Alucard, Jonathan, Charlotte, and Yoko, pretty much. That's pretty much the only characters I'm really playing as. Having some fun with John. John has so many fun, like, sub-weapons to play with. I'll probably play with him later, but we're gonna start with Alucard. We will go with Christmas Alucard. And I want to give him... Oh yeah, just got the Masamune. And I have Graham, the sword named Graham. And let's see, Artemisian is nighttime. Yes, good, because it's nighttime where I am. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just kind of like don't have the energy, so to speak. You're just kind of like, I just want to do something easy. That's Castlevania for me. Alright. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I mentioned it before. One of the fun things about using Alucard in this game is that he has... If you didn't know, in Castlevania Symphony of the Night, a lot of the weapons that you acquire in that game have, like, sub-abilities would be the best way to describe it. Like, if you, for example, like, roll to forward attack, basically, this... fire's not gonna work on this thing. It's really convenient, because he's basically, like, fired up all the area below me, so I can't jump down there. Come on, dude, get out of here. Ugh. Oh, now he's just leaving. Oh, wait, I can do this. That'll work. He's just leaving. He's like, alright, well, I'll see you later. Yeah, so if you, like, roll the forward attack, in Symphony of the Night, a lot of the weapons will have, like, a special thing that they do, and some of them are really cool. Like, a prime example would be the Daybreak Sword, which, when you use its special ability, it summons, like, little, like, NPCs to help you, which is a neat ability. It's ultimately not a super, like, tactical thing. Like, you're not gonna whip it out against... Ow, jeez. You're not gonna, like, whip it out against Dracula, but it's fun to play around with. And I think as a means to make Alucard more interesting, because in this game, I mean, he's basically just governed by his sub-weapons. That's really the only manner of strength he has. Or not sub-weapons, he's only really strengthened by his regular weapons. So beyond that, there's not really a whole lot going on there. They gave him all those, like, sub-abilities. And so, like, for example, this is me attacking regular. This is me attacking with the special. See how it has, like, a little extra colorful effect that took a little bit of MP? That'll, like, do extra continuous damage. It's just kind of a nice little feature that... I said it when we played this before. Some of the characters are more accurate to their original game appellations than others. Alucard and Soma, for the most part, are pretty much exactly as they were in their original games. Which is cool. Other characters are not. Other characters are really not. I think I mentioned it before. I've been playing Portrait of Ruin, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin for the DS, sort of on my own as well. And it's almost jarring how different John and Charlotte are in that game. I mean, what we have in this game is recognizable as the same character, but especially Charlotte, like the fact that they changed her to what amounts to a blue mage from Final Fantasy in this game is really very different from what she was in the original game. Like in the original game, ooh, the Yasutsune, that's a pretty good weapon actually. I think that's one of the katanas that you can walk with and attack. Like this one, when I attack with it, it makes me stand in place, as you expect. But some of the katanas, you can actually just kind of like continuously attack while you're walking. It's very useful. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, in the original Portrait of Ruin, one of the best things about Charlotte as a character was that her spells cost like way less to use than did John's sub-weapons. And so like she could be cranking out spells all the time, which really supports the idea that she is a mage. And in playing this, there's a lot less of that. Another thing from the original Portrait of Ruin is that like she could actually change the strength of the spells by just like holding down the button longer. None of that's here. Like that aspect is also gone. So, and then a lot of her spells are gone too. Like I would love to have Rock Riot in this game, but it doesn't exist. So there you go. I don't know. And then John, it's just so frustrating that you can only use the whip. I've said that before, but you know, it just completely eliminates one part of his character. They're just sort of like, nah, bro, it doesn't matter anymore. Summon spirit. So, I don't know. It's still a fun game. It's still a really fun game that I would love to have a sequel to, but probably not gonna happen. I'm trying to get the acceleration glitch to work. If you didn't know, one of the things that made this game really fun at the time too was the fact that there's kind of I wouldn't say a high skill ceiling, but there's a skill ceiling as regards not skill ceiling, I don't know. They're like special techniques you can use via a variety of glitches. Most of these are only accessible to Soma because Soma just has access to more modes of movement than anyone else. But one that anyone can do if you just kind of like get it right is the edge acceleration glitch, which the way it works is, I think if you're like sliding when you collide with, oh, nice, Dark Inferno. That's actually rare. I used Hellfire, and every once in a while it will turn into Dark Inferno for some reason. If you're like sliding or kicking when you hit just like the edge of something, let's see if I can do it. Nope. You will like fly forward, like you'll get crazy momentum forward. Oh, I actually did, and then I messed it up. Let me see if I do it again. No, come on. I did it again, and then I messed it up. Like, once you do it, you're supposed to then... Yeah, see? Look at me go! That's one of the easiest places to, like, practice it, which is why I'm able to do it there. Normally, I'm not very good at it. I had a friend who was excellent at it. Like, I had a friend who... He decided he wanted to, like, learn all the glitches, and so he's pretty good at most of them. But... Yeah, it just kind of allows you to, like, do fun things in the game, because you can, like, do these, like, weird glitches. I don't know. Like I mentioned before, the idea of the backdash canceling. That's a glitch that is accessible to, again, anyone, but it is best used by Shinoa with her Lapista. I'm gonna kill this guy. No, I gotta kill this guy. Of course, the person who has it worst in terms of not being like their original version is definitely Shinoa. Shinoa is absolutely nothing like how she is in Order of Ecclesia. They basically made a new character for Shinoa. But whatever, I guess it's fine. It's cool that she's in the game. I think what's weird about the fact that they changed Shinoa so much is that, like, when this game came out, that was the last Castlevania game that had come out, I believe. Maybe Lords of Shadow was out, but I'm pretty sure the last one, like, just before this game came out was Order of Ecclesia, which means they took the most recent game and did the worst by it. It's a little strange, odd decision, but that's fine. It's not fun. I'm actually very upset about it because I mean, Order of Ecclesia was cool. Like, it was very weird. It was very different from all the other preceding games, but it was kind of like a paradigm shift similar to what you got with, like, Dawn of Sorrow, where, you know, or Aria of Sorrow rather, where they were like, well, we're gonna make the game new. We're gonna do something weird and different with the game, and so they invented, like, Soma and his soul absorption thing, and then they're like, oh, this is cool. I don't know. If you didn't know, if you don't know what I'm talking about, ooh, fancy demon battle. Order of Ecclesia, or in Order, ooh, the Dragon Helm is actually really good for Alucard. It's good to have. In Order of Ecclesia, the way Shinoa worked, or the way her equipment worked, she had standard defensive equipment, but she never carried a weapon. Instead, you had access to her left and right hand, and you could put what they called glyphs in both of them. Doggone it. He just goes away. He's like, I got him! Hooray! Now what's over here? And it takes forever for the song to finish. It's like, you're just pushing the button. You're like, all right, let me play again. Come on. Let's go. I'm gonna change my equipment up. I'm gonna use that Yasutsuna that I got. That's a very helpful thing to have. Yasutsuna. And I don't know what I want for the other one. Let's carry... let's carry a second Yasutsuna. 2 Yasutsunas! Yeah, so you had access to her left and right hand. And you could absorb glyphs from enemies. And that's actually the one thing that they did carry over into this game, that you can absorb glyphs. You absorb glyphs from enemies that would be like classified as either like a weapon glyph or like a magic glyph. So an enemy that carried a sword, for example, might have the sword glyph, and you could then equip the sword glyph to one or the other hand, or both. And alternately, you might get, like, say an enemy uses fire on you, you might get a fire glyph. And you can equip that to one or the other hand, and you can then cast fire with that hand. So, let's say I put fire on her left hand and a sword on her right. What I could do then is if I push, I think, triangle or X into the DS game, I would cast fire, and then if I pushed Y, I would then swing my sword. But if I pushed both of them, I would swing like a fire sword. And so one of the major things in Order of Ecclesia is this idea that you can combine your glyphs into something more powerful. Well, that's just gone in this game. It's just not a thing in this game. Instead, you can, you know, still equip different glyphs on different hands, but they're always weapon glyphs. They're never like magic glyphs. Moreover, the whole like combine glyph thing is just not present. Also not present are any of her like transformation abilities. In the original game, she had like she could transform into other monsters sometimes and like do special things. And I don't know. Everything about Shinoa's presentation in this game feels like she was like the last one they made. But if that's the case, then why is she front and center on the title screen? It's like you have the two pretty boys, Soma and Alucard, and then you have Shinoa. And they're just like, here are two beautiful men, also some woman we found in the back room. She can also be present. I just griped about it because it's not that I hate Alucard and Soma. I just get frustrated because it feels like they get more attention. And I want everybody to get attention. Everybody gets a turn. I'll stop griping. I don't know. It is still cool that Alucard and Soma are so faithful to the original presentation. That is true. So, at the very least, that is present. Oh, I should mention this too. Another little trick you can do. So you'll notice I'm just kind of walking along with the sword this time. The Yasutsuno is one of those ones that you can walk with. If you equip two of them, you can actually just kind of roll your finger back and forth between square and triangle and like do double damage. Like I'm laying down a ton of damage by just hitting both. It's sort of like backdash canceling, except you don't actually have to do the backdash part. You just kind of send your finger back and forth. And it's cool. Yay! Go, Christmas Alucard, you will bring all the presents. He's Santa Claus. Santa Alucard is here to bring you your presents. All of the women are very excited and all of the men are very jealous. Oh, I did it again! Did you see how like when I jumped off of that, I like flew forward? That was the acceleration at work. If I had jumped again without kicking, I actually would have been able to kind of keep going. But it's tricky. I mean, it's a lot harder with characters who can't kick. So I think the two characters that can't kick are the two dedicated mages, Charlotte and Yoko. Neither of them can kick, I believe. I think everyone else can kick. Oh no, the Yasutsuno. One of them. I thought that was hard to get, but I'm finding a lot of them. And so if you can kick, you can kind of, it's easier to accomplish the acceleration part of it. Let's see if I can get the long rush. Let's see. Nope, missed. Bleh. No, come on. Come on, do it. I don't know what it is about this one particular location that... Sometimes in the past I've actually gone through that little tiny hole and continued to accelerate. So it is possible. Just tricksy. Definitely doing better with the Yasutsuno. Makes sense, it's a lot stronger. You know, it's a stronger weapon, but... How y'all doing today? Are you having a good Tuesday? My Tuesday was alright. I had to go to a sponsor site today, which is usually a little bit of a hassle, but it wasn't too bad. Honestly, the biggest problem with the sponsor site, going to the sponsor site, is I usually forget to bring my my laptop cable, and so it's always like a strain to try to keep my laptop charged while I'm there. Like as I often do, my laptop had run out of juice by the time the meeting was ended. So I was like, well, I can't do anything else. I gotta go home and charge this thing. I always forget my laptop cable. I'm stupid. I'm stupid. The weather was very nice today. That was a nice surprise. A little bit cooler than it has been. Kind of hoping it rain, though. I'm a big fan of the rain. Stupid things. Die! Come on! Die! It takes forever. Yes! Ow! There we go. Dead. Gurkha Master. You and your mastery of Gurkha. Dolph Metamorphosis. That is a very old joke that probably no one thinks is funny. I think I talked about this before, but the very first time I played Symphony of the Night, I played it... Oh, the Impervious Helm always looked to me like a molar, like a tooth. Like you're wearing a giant tooth on your head. I have samurai leggings and a samurai playtest. I can be an official samurai. I want to do it again. Come on, acceleration glitch. Now. I got it again and then didn't capitalize on it. Boo. Whatever. Yeah, the first time I played this game was... I already came through here. Was with a friend of mine. We played it at the same time, like on Discord. Like he was playing it while I was playing it. And we were just kind of like talking about where we were and what we were finding and such like that. And the line, the voice recording of Dark Metamorphosis in Symphony of the Night is like it's a little rough. I think it's a little hard to hear. And to me, it sounded like we were saying Dolph, D-A-L-F, Dolph Metamorphosis. And for some reason, I thought that was the funniest thing. And so I just kept saying it anytime he would use Dark Metamorphosis. I'd be like, Dolph Metamorphosis! Isn't that funny? My friend who's on Discord politely didn't say anything. He probably did not think it was funny. He certainly wasn't laughing. And it's just kind of stuck in my head. It's one of those things that just sticks around. Dolph Metamorphosis! Surely I'm not the only person like that. Where, like, there's a joke that you think is funny, and so like it keeps coming back in your head, and then like you can't convince anyone else that it's funny. Oh, that's not just me, right? I feel like that happens to me a lot. I got another Yas. I really thought those were rare. Like when I got it the other day, I got it as a random drop from a monster in chapter 11, which is the we'll go there in a bit. That's the Getsu Fuma'd level. Which, again, if you don't know, Getsu Fuma'd is a Konami game for the NES that is the legend, the den of Getsu Fuma. And it's sort of like Castlevania, but for Japanese demons. So it's the same kind of concept. Brave man goes into a scary place to fight a big scary evil. Oh, hey, Lupin. Welcome. This is my first time seeing you here. I'm not sure I've seen you here before, Lupin. Welcome. You chose a very lazy stream today. I'm glad to see you. I am just playing Castlevania tonight. Pretty much it. Just playing Castlevania. Grinding for stuff. But you're welcome to stick around. You ever play Castlevania, Lupin? Do you have any familiarity with the series? To finish that thought, yeah. Getsu Fuma, he's like a brave samurai, and he goes into like the demon lord Ryukotsuki, I think is his name. Ryukotsuki's name. Domain to defeat evil. Oh, sorry about that. There are always VODs. You can always check out my VODs on my YouTube channel. But I'm glad to have you here. Oh, so are you familiar? Like, do you know what Castlevania is at all, or is it completely unknown to you? Because if you don't know what Castlevania is at all, that'll be fun. I can explain like crazy, and you get to sit here and listen. I love explaining things. It's my favorite. Yeah, it's just Castlevania, but Japanese stuff. And that particular level, because of that, has like a lot of very specific Japanese treasures you can find there. So that's where you get stuff like katanas usually. And so when I found the Yasutsuna, I was like, oh, it's a rare drop! Only in chapter 11, I'm so excited! And now I've gotten like 3 in this one particular stream. There you go. You do know what Castlevania is, but you haven't played it? Is that what you're saying? If you know what Castlevania is, then that'll make things a little bit easier. This game, Castlevania Harmony of Despair, is a compilation game that was released for the PlayStation 3, specifically on PlayStation Network. And the general vibe of it is a Castlevania level that you can play online with friends. It's such a cool idea. I really hate that they never made another one. They never made another one of these, and it's so much fun, and you can only play it if you have a PlayStation 3. It's very irritating. But yeah, you can. It's like a game that you can play with a variety of characters from the Castlevania mythos. I'm currently playing as Christmas-themed Alucard from Castlevania Symphony of the Night here. We've also got Soma Cruz from Aria and Dawn of Sorrow. We've got Julius and Yoko Belmont also from, or Julius Belmont and Yoko Belnatis from Dawn of Sorrow, Dawn and Aria of Sorrow. We've got Jonathan Morris and Charlotte Owen from Portrait of Ruin. We've got Shanoa from Placia. We've got Richter and Maria Bernard from several games, but mostly Rondo Blood. Who else is here? We've got Simon Belmont from Castlevania 1 and 2. We've got Getsu Fuma from Getsu Fuma. And but it's fun because they all kind of play differently, so you get like different experiences. Apparently, the flimsy plot of the game is that this ancient tome, which supposedly recorded all of the many struggles against Dracula throughout history, was opened, and Dracula and his minions were allowed to run free again. And fortunately, also included in that tome were the memories of all the various people who struggled against Dracula over many years. And so you can play them. That is the very flimsy plot. But it's fun. Fun game. It's definitely one of those games that is mostly just about it's designed, I mean, you wouldn't call it a party game, but that's kind of the mindset. It's a game that just kind of play like with friends over and over again. And so it's all about like gathering treasure. And like treasure is like equipment. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm up to. How you been today, Luke? Oh, well, didn't mean to do that. Ow, my head. Activate, go. Where are these people? Oh, it's on top of us. Okay, let's go. One thing that's kind of this monster is named Legion, is a reference to the biblical story of Legion from one of the Gospels, wherein there was a demon that Jesus was going to exorcise. There's like a man who was possessed by a demon, and when Jesus talked to it, it said, "We are called Legion," which, if you didn't know, is a term for like an army. He's like, "We are Legion because we are many." And so, you know, when Konami was like, "We need more monsters," they're like, "What if we had a monster that's just like a big combination of bodies?" And they're like, "That's cool. What are we gonna name it?" And they came up with Legion. I think it's actually pretty clever. There you go. That's the entire story of this monster. It's a gross tentacle thing that lurks inside of a bunch of dead people. Isn't that fun? Ugh. Yeah, this is what's awful about fighting Legion as Alucard, is that you can only really do damage in the center, and he doesn't have anything that like attacks upward. Really, I mean, he's got like attacks, but they're like really weak compared to like other characters. So mostly he's all about the hit. Oh, hang on. I said something. I can't. Unfortunately, since this is an online game, you can't really pause it. So I have to book when I'm done. Oh, I could I guess. Hang on, just walk up here. Sync up here. Right. When your game gets loud, it might be... Okay, thank you very much. I've been having a lot of issues with the volume because the games I've been playing have been mixed weird. Like when I was playing Mega Man Legends, the audio was really quiet most of the time, and so I had to keep changing it. Very annoying. It's a good game, but I wish they had mixed it better. Just beat up real bad against this stupid thing. Ow. Dead. Dead. Oh well. C'est la vie. One thing that is nice about this game, you get to keep whatever treasures you find in a level. So, I believe that's the case. So we still have what I got, but we don't get the golden treasure from the boss, unfortunately. Let me make sure. Let's see. If that's the case, I should have 4 Yasutsunas now. Yes. Okay, that is correct. All right, let's play as somebody else. I play as. Let's play as Getsufuma. So this is Getsufuma. He is a samurai boy, a purple samurai boy. He has lots of special weapons, which is kind of cool. And he starts off with all of them too. I didn't realize that. So he's got the war drum, which, well, you'll see. War drum, throwing star, and hexplosives. So he's like a Japanese exorcist, which is kind of a cool idea. And I will give him samurai equipment. Samurai helmet. Samurai leggings. Benton raiment. And the Artemisian ring, because it's very useful. Rave of the Artemisian ring. Ugh, I like this game. Did you ever have a game that you played online with friends, Lupin? Like, this is definitely a game that, I mentioned this before, I played it all the time with friends, when it first came out, and, it's just a lot of fun. It's fun to play with other people. Like, we would just kind of like in the evenings, we would all get on, like, this was back when we didn't have Discord or anything, so we just kind of, used, like, headsets and talked through the PS3. And so we'd all put on our headsets and just, like, sit around and play Castlevania for, like, hours. It's awesome. I think that's about the only, like, online game that I ever really played with friends, though. Alright, well, they're gone. Come back, I hope. Unfortunately, I probably shouldn't have come here with a character who is level 1. But, you know, I wanted to show him off in his level. Plus, honestly, it's a good way to level him up real quick. You might have noticed that my, that weapon I was using suddenly went from 16 to 32. That actually means that it leveled up right there. So, doesn't take too terribly much to level up for those earlier stages. The other nice thing is that as my weapons level up, I will also get stronger. He has like the Ryu Hayabusa like flip move, which I very much like. It's very, very helpful. It's so cool. I actually ordered a copy of this, a reproduction cart of Getsu Fuma'd, and I'm excited for when it comes in. It should be coming in within the next, I don't know, month. I don't know how long it's going to take them to put it together. The company that I go through is, they're called OCD Reproductions, and I think that they only do either unreleased and translated games or fan hacks. I don't think they actually offer any games that are, what do you call it? like any games that were released. I think they only release altered games, I guess you could say. But I've gotten some good stuff through them. Like some time ago, I played that that ROM hack of Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest that had like all those improvements. That was from them. That was from OCD Reproduction. So I do recommend it if you're looking for old school ROM hacks and such. The company I used to go through, unfortunately, they kind of fell through, which is regrettable. I used to go through a company called Flashback Entertainment. And for a while there, they were really solid, but then, like, something happened and they just kind of stopped. Like, I remember I ordered, like, 3 games for them and I paid for them and they just never came in. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not $120. That's fine. Kind of a disappointment, that. I like his, like, plum outfit. Like, that's a very nuanced color of purple, I think. Very nice. Oxfords. That seems like something a samurai would wear, right? Oxford shoes. Now, in terms of this level's treasures, the treasures you want the most, I think, personally the treasures I think are most valuable, are the Thief Ring, which is a ring that improves your luck and allows you to get better treasures than you're supposed to be able to per stage. And I can explain that in a second. And then the 3 or 4 raiments. That, admittedly, I have the Benton raiment, which you can find in other stages. But they're like 3 or 4 raiments that you can get here that are like really good cape equipment. So like one of the types of equipment you can equip is capes, and the raiments are all capes. They're really good if you can get them. But unfortunately for me, I only have the Benton one, which admittedly is, I think, the best of the ones you can get because it's the one that raises your luck. And this game, since I said, it's all about luck because you want to get stuff. You're trying to get treasures. That's your goal. Just do that for a second. Here we go. This guy, Executioner here, he can only be attacked when his little katanas aren't flipping around. So I gotta wait. Gotta wait for him to throw katanas at me. Then I can attack. Oh yeah, that's right. So one thing that's interesting about Getsufuma here is that he's kind of got a thing going on like Link has with his sword beam, where the beam itself does less damage than if you actually hit with the sword. So you might have noticed my regular little beam slash only does like 1 damage to this dude. But if I actually hit him with the sword, it does like 23, which admittedly is still not much, but I'm also level 1, so there you go. Also, the music in this level is pretty cool. There we go. So an interesting dynamic about this particular stage, there are 3 sub-bosses. Executioner, the one we just fought, Decapiclops, who I'm going to next, and Chimeriad, who's the one I always do third. You can actually fight them in any order you want. But for each one you defeat, the other 2 become stronger. So, and what that strength relates to is they get like extra attacks and their movements become trickier and stuff like that. And so the order that I usually fight them in is usually Decapiclops first, then Executioner, then Chimeria. That's the order of, in terms of how difficult I think they are, basically. It's just kind of cool, like, to play through this stage in different orders to see the different, like, moves they have. Like, I'll explain when we get to the Capaclops. So here's the Capaclops. He's like a little floating head guy. He shoots little fireballs at you. In his default state, the fireballs just make a little fire explosion when they hit the ground, and that's it. In his secondary state, you can see he's got a little tiny Decapiclops floating around, or little tiny Executioner head floating with him. It makes that little splash effect when it strikes. So that's kind of how he's improved. And if he had both of his associates with him, his fireballs would make like a little pillar of flame when they struck the ground. In terms of Executioner, we saw his basic state. He just has those 4 katanas floating around him. In his secondary state, he has, I think, 6 katanas. And then in his tertiary state, his like strongest state, he has 6 katanas, and he has a move where he like summons a huge wave of them to attack you. So, and then Chimeria I'll show. Chimeria's kind of weird. He just has like, he like flips over. Is the best way to describe it. He attacks you in a different orientation when he gets stronger. So that's strange. Chimeria's weird. You'll see. So this guy is actually probably my favorite one to fight as Jonathan, because what I love to do, like Jonathan, as I mentioned before, Jonathan Morris, he's not actually a Belmont, but he fights like a Belmont. So he uses a whip, and most of his strength comes from sub-weapons. And I really like to fight this guy with some sort of throwing weapon. I like just matching his movements and jumping around and like doing stuff like that. That's fun for me. So, unfortunately, we're not Jonathan. We are Getsu Fuma'd. Whoa! Means it's going to take forever. Very slow. Well, whatever. Again, it's a low impact stream. I was going to be doing this anyway. Why not make it available to y'all if you want to see it, if you just want to watch a chicken grind for a while. Plus, it's also kind of cool to see Getsu Fuma'd in the level that he's supposed to be in, so. Well, but I really haven't found anything good yet. Ooh. Ow. Jeez. Ah, yeah, there we go. Slap. Actually, speaking of Getsu Fuma'd, they came out with a, I don't know if it's a remake of the original or it's a new thing, but relatively recently there was a Getsu Fuma'd released for, I think, Switch. I haven't played it yet. I ordered a hard copy from Limited Run Games that isn't here yet, so my plan is to play it when I get that, but whoa! Oh, it's a flying flower. Flying flowers aren't a problem for anyone. Oh, this guy's kind of fun. You see this like skeleton dude with a whip? Guess what his name is? Helmont. Isn't that funny? Oh, I thought that was kind of a funny pun. It's the same company that makes Castlevania. They're just like, oh, we got this. See you later, dude. Normally they attack you, but he's just like, peacing out. He's like, nah, brah. I got things to do over here. Yeah, they're just sort of like, oh, we'll make a joke. This is a Helmont. It's reasonable. Well, I am very glad that you were able to join tonight, Lupin. Do you have the day off or something? You said that I normally stream when you can't watch. If so, thank you for Like, if today's your day off and you're opting to spend it with me grinding in Castlevania, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you for the note about my audio. I'm always eager to hear about audio concerns, because nothing is quite as frustrating as finishing a stream and then realizing at the end of it that either no one could hear you or the audio was bad the whole time or something like that. There have been many cases where I have put up a stream on YouTube and then like listened to it myself and like it sounded terrible. And I was like, why do I even try? So, thank you for that. Alright, so this is Chimera. He's kind of a weird guy. He kind of just shoots fireballs. You'll also see he's like upside down right now. He kind of like flies at you sometimes. He's not really that hard once you learn like his basic moves. Actually, if I remember correctly, he's harder in his second stage of development than he is in his third, which is another reason why I typically will fight him last. Good. Oh, he's got very obvious patterns and not very hard to dodge and all that. So. And sometimes he does this and you can just stand behind him and attack. There we go. Done. Probably doesn't need to be mentioned, but also all of the art assets in this stage are from Gets It Limited, so that's another reason why it kind of looks very different, which is fun. The boss of this stage is also pretty hard, in my opinion. Ryukotsuki, I guess it's Ryukotsuki would be a better way to describe it. It's like, I always say his name as though it's like a Russian name. He is Ryukotsuki. Or a Polish name, maybe. But it's supposed to be Japanese. It's supposed to be Ryu, which is the Japanese word for dragon. Ko, which I think means child. And then Ski, which is moon. So I guess he's Dragon Child Moon. I guess. I don't know Japanese. I don't know what I'm talking about. I definitely always pronounce his name as though he is a Russian. Blah blah blah. Speaking of Russian, I've been playing GoldenEye for the N64 recently. That was a game that, like, growing up, my friend up the street played it a lot. And I spent a lot of time watching GoldenEye being played and then like playing multiplayer. But the actual game I never played. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll play GoldenEye for a little while. I was looking for a new game to play and just play some GoldenEye. Why not? It's really fun. Like, I get why people I get why it's famous. It's just a really fun game. Like, even people like myself who aren't good at like shooter games, it handles a lot of that for you because like it's got auto aim on the lower difficulty levels. And yeah, it's fun. It's actually a really fun game, but as you might know, GoldenEye involves Russians. The continuous conflict between British secret agents and Russian secret agents. Actually, another funny thing about playing through GoldenEye is it makes me kind of want to watch the movie. I think I've only ever seen the movie once, and it was like when it came out. So it's been a long time since I've seen GoldenEye. Wait, I can just walk. I'm short, I can just walk. I have gotten nothing good in this level. Like, nothing at all. Oh, I was going to explain how the treasure chests work. Right. Okay, so I might need a visual aid for this, actually. I can show you all after the level's over on my computer, but the way the treasure chests work in this game is there are, like, I think 11 lists of items. And each treasure chest is assigned a value from one of those 11 lists. And they're like in terms of increasing valuability. So like level 1, it's all like, you know, kind of crappy stuff. Level 11, they're all like, oh my gosh, this is game changers. And when you open a treasure chest, it draws based on like a probability rating. So like individual items in the list also have their own probability rating. It draws one of those items. And your luck score, your character's luck score, factors into improving the odds of the higher end items. So to get the best stuff, you raise your luck score, and you go to levels that have more valuable treasure chests. So in addition, there are 5 different types of treasure chests. There are brown treasure chests, which generally give you the worst classes of equipment, but they're also the only places you can get food items. And food items, in their own way, are a valuable collectible. So there's still value to opening brown chests. There are blue chests, which function pretty much just like brown chests in single player. But in multiplayer, blue chests always carry a revival item. So like in multiplayer, if a character dies, you can revive them if you have a blue chest, Water of Life. Green chests are better than brown and blue, but still not the best. They're basically the middle of the road. This is Ryukotsuki, by the way. He's a funny little guy. He just kind of hops around. This is not the part of him that's super difficult. This is the easy part. Then he gets harder after this. He has multiple phases. It's kind of fun to be fighting him as Getsufuma too, because like, in general, I haven't really played very much as Getsufuma. I didn't. He's kind of a gimmick character. I didn't really play with it very much. Okay, second phase. Got this dude. This is like his taller state. He throws knives at you. He's very slow though, which is nice. He has the shield that you have to get around. This is kind of annoying for Getsu. I hate this guy. If those knives strike you, they inflict you with poison, which is honestly pretty bad in this game. It's funny too, because poison in Harmony of Despair functions like it does in other games. Whereas poison in like Castlevania normally just drops your attack power. It doesn't actually cause damage. Alright, now we get his super form. He's this big scary dragon. Skeleton guy. And you can only hit him in this red orb, and only when he lowers his hand. So part of the reason I would really like to play the actual Getsufuma is because I just find myself wondering what the game is like after all my information about it coming from like this, you know, cameo appearance basically. I'm like, what's the actual game like? I don't know. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so back to treasure chest. Because this is gonna take a while. I can't do very much damage, so I'm probably gonna be here for a bit. So green chests in the middle of the road. Purple chests are better, and then gold chests or boss chests always have the highest potential rating in a stage. Now, something worth mentioning is that things in each level, like the various chests in each level, have level-specific items in addition to the regular item lists that you find. So, like, take for example, most of the like level 1 and 2 have the same. I gotta come up with good terms for these. They got the same numbers for their treasure chests. So, like in level 1, a brown treasure chest will draw from the first list of items of the G1 through 11, so to speak. In level 3, though, the brown chest may drop level 2 items. And it continues to go up like that. So like level 1 on hard might actually be dropping items from the from what will be the gold chest in level on normal. I did not explain this very well. I'm sorry. It will make more sense, I think, with the visual aid. Right now, I'm just trying to kill freaking Ryukotsuki here. But before I run out of time. Right now, the biggest danger is me just running out of time. But the short of it is that gold treasure chests are always the best. Oh, and then the treasure we're really hoping for in this level is the Thief Ring. Because what the Thief Ring does is for every Thief Ring you have equipped on a character, it will raise the G level of every treasure chest you open. So regardless of what type of treasure chest it is, you're automatically going to be sort of punching at a higher weight class, so to speak. Which is great when you're trying to find, like, rare treasures. Because it means that even brown treasure chests might still give you something, like, really cool. And that's something you want. So, a whole lot of talking. Mostly just because the fight against Ryukotsuki is kind of boring as Getsu. It's a cool enough boss. It's especially neat, of course, as like a, what do you call it, like a cameo kind of thing. But it's tedious if you're not strong. It is this over again. Over and over. I also like how he, like, summons his own, like, minions when you're fighting him. That's kind of a cool trick. I like that. In general, that's a thing in games that I think is cool. When, like, a boss will use the powers of his subordinates, you know? Makes them feel more connected. Ow. My body. I get to feel my body. Ow. The other thing about this boss in particular is that he's very much a boss of, like, extremely precise positioning, because you can only hit him in his little orby orb. But you can only do that, or if you don't position yourself right, you'll just take damage from his big old silly chin. You have to be very careful as you attack him. In particular, later on, Jonathan has, like, a special move where he, like, does an uppercut. You can do a lot of damage to Ryukotsuki if you perfectly position the uppercut to hit him. But it's one of those moves that, like, has no horizontal movement to it. It's just straight up. So if you don't have it positioned exactly right, you're just gonna bump into his hand and get yourself killed. That's kind of neat. I like it. There we go. Beat him. Awesome. Alright, so I go over here to this magical land with clouds, and I get treasure. Oh, I forgot to mention the red treasure chest. Red treasure chests always give you money. I left them off of the list. Always give you money. Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. That's a pretty disappointing haul, all told. I think Mr. Fuma'd got stronger, so that's good. Curious. Wonderful. Alright, let me show you what I was talking about with the treasure chests. And I think this will make more sense this way. Over here. What am I doing here? I'm sorry, got distracted. Okay. Switch over to my desktop. Blah. Okay, and move this over. All right. So, what you see here, this is a listing of... Can y'all see this? Make sure y'all can see this. Yeah? Yeah, okay, good. This is a listing of all the various groups. So groups 1 through 8. So like when you open a chest that is listed as G1, it will give you one of these items at random. And I believe that as it goes down, the likelihood of success decreases. So like, well, maybe not. Maybe it's just a random item out of here. So you can see it goes from group 1 up to group 11, and then there are the food groups, the 4 food groups. We know all about those, right? And these are just kind of like, you only get these out of like blue and brown chests. And each level has, this is a listing of the levels. So like chapter 1 normal, brown chests will always give you something out of the group 1 or the food group 1 or 100 gold. Now, you can see that there's some additional stuff down here. These are level specific. They're also character specific. So for example, grenade is one of Jonathan's sub-weapons, and it only shows up if you're playing as Jonathan. So no other people can't get it, but John can. So if you want the grenade, you go to chapter 1 on normal, and you open a bunch of brown treasure chests. And you can see that it kind of crosses over. That means either brown or green could potentially give you a grenade. So moving down to chapter 11, you can see the thing that I really wanted is this thief ring right here. That's the thing that I'm looking for, but it's a gold on normal treasure. So I can only get it from Ryukotsky on normal. I can't actually get it on hard. Anyway, all that to say, hopefully that explains a little bit better how the various drops work and all that nonsense. So. All right, back to the game. Ugh. This game is deep, man. It's so complicated. All right. I'm done with Fuma. Stop playing as Fuma now. I'll play as John Boy. So I always call Jonathan Morris John Boy because it makes me laugh, because Jonathan Morris is actually from Texas. He is the son of John Morris from, where do I want to go? Let's go here. Where do I get here? I think there's something I want here. Where it is now. Actually, maybe I don't want to come here as John. I'll try it. It's dangerous to come to chapter 7 as a man. I know it sounds weird. I'll show you why. John might get killed here as a result, but I'll show you why. I'll do it on hard. Yeah. So Jonathan Morris, son of John Morris, who was from Castlevania Bloodlines, who is himself the son of, or the supposed son of, Quincy Morris from Bram Stoker's Dracula. If you've never read Bram Stoker's Dracula, I actually do recommend it. It's a very good book. It's kind of a weird book in that like, in my opinion, it has a very slow start. Like, the beginning of the story is kind of boring, I think, but it gets a lot better pretty quick. So, but in that book, Quincy Morris is one of the suitors of Lucy Westenra, who is the she's basically the embodiment of innocence would be the best way to describe it. She, like, in the story, she's getting knocked around real bad right now. She's supposed to be kind of like the tragic character who everyone wants to protect, so to speak, and Quincy Morris, included. In fact, actually, the reason, this is kind of a funny thing. I hope I'm not giving away too much about the story from this, but I mean, I think you find this out as soon as you meet Lucy. So, the reason Quincy Morris is even in the story is that he came to England from Texas because he wanted to marry Lucy. And Lucy actually got 3 wedding proposals on the same day. One from the man she actually wanted to marry, Arthur Homewood. One from Quincy Morris, who was like a friend of hers, but she didn't have romantic feelings for him. And then another one from a man named Dr. Seward, who was sort of in the same situation as Quincy, where he's like a man that she was fond of, but she wasn't actually in love with. And then they just hang around because she's so wonderful. They just kind of stick around, really. They're just like, all right, well, I don't want to go back to Texas, so I'll just kind of hang out here in London. Why not? Lucy's here. It's fine. It's a silly thing. But I do think it's a pretty fun book. I was talking to my friend about it the other day. He has not read it, and he said that he wanted to, and so I was kind of giving him like a general rundown of like what's going on, and I was like, man, I kind of want to read Dracula again. I liked it. I think what's so interesting about it to me is that, like, as I said before, it's kind of a slow burn at first. Like when I first started it, I was like, this book is awful. I may not get to the boss. Like, the boss is the reason that it's dangerous to come here as a man. But I may not even make it there. I'm kind of taking a lot of damage. Ha! What was I talking about? Dracula? Oh yeah. When I first read it, it took me like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 days to get through like the first 50 pages or something. And then I think after that was the point where Jonathan Harker, who is the initial protagonist of the book, after about 50 to 100 pages, that's when he first gets to Dracula's castle. And once he gets to Dracula's castle, suddenly the book becomes really interesting. But before that, it's just so tedious. Like, I think what was going on was that Bram Stoker was trying to, like, create an atmosphere, like a really strong atmosphere for the book. And so he spent, like, a lot of time building up the story at the first part. And it's just kind of boring. Like, it's boring if you already know what Dracula's about, you know? Like, when Dracula was first written, people didn't know what Dracula was going to be about, and so having a lot of time to kind of like slowly build up the atmosphere makes sense. But if you know Dracula's the story about the vampire, then you're like, I don't need you to tell me that there might be a vampire here. I know there's one. It's Dracula. I know Dracula's going to be here somewhere, and he's a vampire. So get to it. Get to it, Brom. I don't know. But again, after you get through that first hurdle, it's real gripping. Like, the rest of it I read in like 2 days. Like, I couldn't stop reading it after that. So, it definitely gets better. Just have to get past Jonathan Harker's travel log. Keeps talking about the quaint customs of the people in Transylvania, and how they keep signing the cross at him. They say odd things to him, and so forth and so on. It's all very British. It's all very British at first. Oh, that's actually another interesting thing about Quincy Morris. So Quincy Morris, the guy from Texas, is very much a stereotypical Texan. He's got like the big mustache. He wears like cowboy hats. He says lots of y'alls and so forth, and yeehaws and such. And so at first blush, you're like, oh, this is rude. This like British person, just this British guy, Bram Stoker's just sort of like, no, this is how all Americans are, like, lol. But apparently, It's completely the opposite. Quincy Morris was designed by Stoker as a symbol of like the best of Americans. So he's brave and he's noble and he's like he always does what's right and he's always available for his friends and all these things. It's like if you actually pay attention to his character, he's a pretty positive interpretation of an American. It's just that, you know, the knee-jerk reaction to how y'all doing is, oh, this is offensive to me if I'm from, you know, the South and this upsets me. Actually, maybe a positive thing. I don't know if that's true. I heard that. And you know how that is. Always take that with a grain of salt. If I just say, I heard something, that really doesn't carry any validity to it. It's just something I heard. I can't even say where I heard it. I was thinking about that the other day. About how I mean, I think it's commonplace. I don't know for sure, but I feel like it's commonplace to just trust what you read on Google, you know? Like, you Google something, and you see an answer, and you're like, okay, well, I guess that's it. Why do we believe that? Like, there's no real reason to think that that's true. It's like, it's just an answer someone wrote on the internet. Lots of things on the internet are not true, but for some reason, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just naive, but I feel like whenever I have a question and I Google it, I tend to assume that's the answer. And it's like, oh, well, that's what Google said. I guess the idea is that, like, there's this assumption that the answer that's listed is the one that the most people have seen, and therefore, if someone saw it and they're like, well, that's not true, they would do something about it. So you're like, okay, well, if Google says that this is correct, then I guess it's correct. I don't know why that's a standard assumption of mine. I'm just like, oh yeah, Google said yes, so it must be yes. It's like, well, why? What about Google makes that true? I don't know. I can get on my old chicken soapbox for a second now. It is kind of funny though to like. One of the things that I found so interesting about watching Ian play Shenmue, Ian Brutal Moose play Shenmue some years ago, was that Shenmue, if you didn't know, is set in, I believe, 1984, either 84 or 83, and at that point in time, we didn't really have widespread access to Google, or access to Google at all. And a large part of Ryo Hazuki's initial journey is just like learning things. Like when he has to learn about like sailors and Chinese people and stuff like that. Like, or like when he has to like find a phone number. You know, it's like there are all these like little things that are like just to Google away nowadays. Ooh, Simon sandals. That's nice. That's a relatively uncommon thing to find. It's a piece of footwear that increases the power of I think it increases the power of all of your sub-weapons if you use a whip. It may actually increase your attack power too, but I don't remember. The problem is it's footwear, and once you get a taste of the footwear that makes you move faster, it's kind of hard to go back to when you were moving slow again. So I don't know if I'm gonna what's that about Jimmy? Ow, dude, stop. Yeah, it's like things that are just kind of like a Google away nowadays. That was like a genuine thing. It's like encyclopedias. When was the last time you actually used an encyclopedia to like research something? Like you wanted to find out a piece of information, and so you said, I'm going to go to the library and look at the encyclopedia. That was how it worked back then. Like encyclopedia salespeople, the reason you did that was because if you wanted information, you needed a book that had information. That was how it used to work. And, you know, if you don't have the internet, it's helpful to have information in your house. Then you don't have to go to the library to read about, I don't know, dogs or whatever you want to learn. Whatever you look up in your own time. I don't know. Again, old person soapbox, but it is interesting to think about like how different things were back then. Ooh, new sub-weapon. Nice! I got a boomerang. Super cool. Alright, so we're about to fight the boss. The boss of this stage is Ashtart, which is, I believe, a derivation of Astarte, which is a demon. I don't know why they called her Ashtart, but that is how her name is spelled in this game. A-S-H-T-A-R-T-E, maybe. She is a sultry Egyptian woman who's known for controlling men's hearts with her beauty. And that's why it's dangerous to come here as a guy. She has a special attack where she shoots little hearts all over the room. And if one of those hearts strikes you, you become enamored with her, and you can't do anything. And you pretty much just stand there until you die. So... that is, I think, the only way you can dodge it as Jonathan. You have to do this thing where you, like, jump on her head, basically. It's very difficult to do. So I'm lucky that I got it right the first time. Seems like my best bet is going to be... yeah, ooh, it's so hard to do. Oh, it's so hard to get right. It seems like Holy Water is going to be my best bet. Ooh, it's so hard to get right. I've been lucky so far, but I don't think my luck's going to last. There are no lesbians or basically there are no homosexuals. Doggone it! I'm stuck now. She's just gonna kill me. I can't do anything. Oh, I got out of it. Oh, nice. I broke out of it. I actually thought it stuck around for like for the rest of the battle. There are no homosexuals in the roster, meaning that like her little love hearts will not affect any of the female members, and doggone it! No, break out of it, John! John, break out of it! Come to your senses, John! Dead. Lame. Yeah, the hearts don't work on girls, and the hearts used by Dracula don't work on boys. So no homosexuals, but that's why it's dangerous to go there as a boy, because she has scary hearts. What have we done? We got another chapter. Oh, I haven't beaten this as on difficult. I'll put on those shoes. Let's see what they do. Simon Sims. Yeah, see, they boost a lot of things, and I think they also boost the power of your sub weapons. So there we go. Simon's shoes. Is this the best hat I have? I think it's a very good hat. Samurai helmet's very good. I'll walk around in a samurai helmet. That's normal. I didn't really like this. I'm gonna go to something else. Go back to the axe. Yeah, and then I will. I want to keep kunai. Actually, no. Let's switch this to boomerang. So anytime you get a new sub weapon for John Boy, you want to use it immediately. And the reason for that is his strength is entirely. I want to be mint flavored, Jonathan Morris, delicious minty Jonathan Morris. His strength is entirely based on the level of the collective level of all of his sub-weapons. So, if you get a sub-weapon that's at level 1, you can level that up really fast and get a nice little bump in your attack power. It's very helpful. You do have to hit the enemy for it to work, though. Admit it. Can't just miss constantly and expect success. Hello, Ukobak. Ukobak. The Ukobak monster is actually a pretty straightforward interpretation of Ukobaks from, where are they from? Are they from the Ars Goetia? I don't actually know what they're from. But it's a demon. But yeah, it's just like in the original illustrations, it's just like a little guy, a little gremlin dude, with like a spoon, and he's got fire on it. That's what he is. And that's exactly how he's interpreted in this game. He's a little gremlin guy with a spoon with fire on it. Same thing in Shin Megami Tensei too, actually. Pretty much exactly that. Y'all ever play Shin Megami Tensei game? I played the original Shin Megami Tensei for the SNES. And I played Persona 4 and 5. And then, yeah, I could say I played Persona 1. I played all the way through the Persona 1's, like the re-release of Persona 1 for PSP, where they added back in the Snow Queen quest, which if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will explain because I love to do that. In the original Persona 1 for the PlayStation, the Japanese version, there were actually two storylines. There was the main storyline, which rotated around this corporation called Sebek that was trying to, I think they were trying to open a door to another dimension so that they could make money or something, whatever evil corporations do. Make money, create super soldiers, whatever. And then there was the Snow Queen quest. And when the game was released in America, the Snow Queen quest went untranslated. And what's interesting is that it's actually entirely still in the game. The way that the game programmers decided to kind of like close it off so it wouldn't cause problems, they just removed one NPC. Like basically the NPC that you would normally talk to start the quest is like it's like a random girl hanging out in like one of the classrooms in the school. And if you talk to her, she tells you about I think she tells you about another NPC. And once you have talked to her, the other NPC's dialogue changes to start the Snow Queen quest. Well, since they took away the girl that sort of set the trigger to let you talk to, his name's Devil Boy, basically. There's like a weird kid that hangs out in the library and like researches the occult, and everyone nicknamed him Devil Boy. So, Devil Boy. Devil Boy is still in the American version, but because that like flag can't be tripped to change his initial dialogue, he just never says the thing he's supposed to say. But it's actually all translated. At least the start of the quest line is all translated. Anyway, all this to say, Snow Queen quest, pretty cool. General idea behind it was that there was like a cursed mask that was used in a play some years ago, and there was like an event in the play where like someone died, I think, something like that, and a freaking Megan Yord, who knows? Someone died, and then they tried to do the play again the next year, and like the new lead died, and they were like, oh, this mask must be cursed, we're gonna stop using it. And so the general idea behind the Snow Queen quest is that you unseal it, and it causes mayhem, and that's the storyline. All that to say, I have played through the PSP re-release, which added the Snow Queen quest back into the American version. It was good. It was very interesting. Very hard too. It was kind of a funny thing. Like, it was a weird. It was a weird. I guess fond memory was the way you would describe it. Because I have a friend who very much enjoys Shin Megami Tensei stuff as well, and we were both curious about this quest that had been removed from the game because he, like me, enjoys, you know, apocrypha and like strange things in games and so forth and so on. Ow, my head! Don't do that. And so he looked up a guide, and the guide talked about how difficult the quest is, but it also gave instructions for how you can make the quest really, really easy if you just want to see the content of the quest. You don't really care about like the challenge or like challenging yourself. You just kind of want to see what the Snow Queen quest is like. He said, follow these rules and you'll get there. And most of the rules involved grinding to level 25 in like the first area. So like you had to spend time fighting like enemies whose level probably never went above like 5 until you reach level 25. And so the two of us, this was when I was in graduate school, and this guy was a friend of mine in graduate school. We would just like, there was like a lab, like a computer lab you could go to that was available any time of the day. So like if you were in the computer science department, you could just go there whenever you wanted to. And so and the lab that we worked in had like a giant monitor, like a giant TV monitor. And so we'd just go in there, we'd hook my PSP up to this giant monitor and just hang out. We'd like order a pizza, hang out, watch dumb internet videos, and just grind for like until I got to level 25. So it was like, it took a couple of weeks and it took a long time to do. So, you know, we just kind of like hung out and ate pizza and just played Shin Megami Tensei to try and get to level 25. It was good. It was like a fun memory of mine from graduate school. And, you know, true to that guide's word, if you follow the instructions, you can do the Snow Queen quest pretty easily. Basically, the reason that you wanted to get to level 25, like, you had to get to level 25 with certain particular personae, and the idea was that if you did that, you were strong enough to get through most of the random battles, and the particular personas you got absorbed damage from the super bosses. So you didn't have to worry about the random encounters, and you didn't have to worry about the super bosses. So it was not too bad. But yeah, I don't know. SMT it's an interesting story, especially if you like mythology, because the games draw so heavily on like mythologies from all around the world, and so like a lot of my knowledge of various, I guess, mythological creatures and my interest in mythology, well, it didn't come from SMT, but it's certainly fed by SMT. You know, it's cool to see all these interesting characters. Like, take Cuchulainn, for example. If you don't know who Cuchulainn is a Celtic hero. And I first encountered the name Cuchulainn from Final Fantasy Tactics. In the original Final Fantasy Tactics, there was a boss named Quechlin. It's spelled Queeklain. Quechlin is actually a misspelling of Cuchulainn, which is spelled Cuchulainn, I believe. And it's pronounced Cuchulainn. And in Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy 12 actually reintroduces it's kind of weird. All of the like summons in FF12 are actually the bad guys from FF Tactics for some reason. I remember finding that kind of strange. It's like, oh, I'm summoning all the villains. Okay. But yeah, that's what you're doing. But they spelled his name correctly in FF12. But Kukulkan is a well, let me back up a little bit. In both FF Tactics and FF12, he's represented as a monster. In particular, he's represented as kind of this grotesque, like, giant blubbery monster. He's like really fat, and he's got like a scary mouth, and like he's got like a slit in his belly that he can open up, and it's like another mouth. It's kind of scary looking, a spooky looking monster. Well, and so that's kind of what I thought Kukulkan was. Well, in Shin Megami Tensei, the Kukulkan summon is just like, he's like a dude. He's like a warrior with like a spear. I'm like, huh, this is weird. That's nothing like Kukulkan from FF Tactics. And so from there, I actually looked up what Kukulkan was about. Like, I became interested in the mythology aspect of Kukulkan because of this. And as it turns out, Kukulkan is a strange sort of hero. He's not a hero in the sense that I would normally think of a hero. He's a hero in the sense that he always wins. But he wins because he becomes a monster. So it's like, it would be like if a hero of like a nation was like a werewolf, you know? He's like, when he's in danger, or they describe it as the battle spasm or the warp spasm. Basically, when he becomes excited in battle, he turns into a monster, and it's like a really intensely grotesque monster. Like, one of his eyes becomes sunken, and his other eye bulges to the point where it pops out of his skull. His knees turn around backwards. His arms become, like, hideously engorged or something. It's like all of these really awful descriptors happen to this dude, and then since he's a monster, he just kills everyone. And, like, he wins. He saves the day, I guess. But he also turns into a horrible monster that can distinguish neither friend nor foe. So take that for how you will. Thank you, phone. I don't know, it's interesting. It's interesting to hear how, not sanitized, some mythological characters become, but how the way we think of a hero in different cultures is different. Like, take Guan Yu from not Chinese mythology, actually from Chinese history, but he became a mythological character. That's a strange thing in itself. Guan Yu, as I understand, was an actual person. He was a man who lived during the was it the Sengoku period? Is it the Sengoku? Basically the Three Kingdoms era. Which I think is what Sengoku means. And, you know, he was a warrior who lived in that time. But he was so admired for his exploits, like his bravery and his strength and his honor and his, like, loyalty, that he became deified. Like, he became, like, canonized, not as a saint, but, like, as a god. He's, like, a god of, like, strength and, like, financial, like, fiscal responsibility or something. I don't know for sure, but I know fiscal responsibility is included somewhere in Guan Yu's myth. But mostly he's just, like, a dude who was really good at fighting, you know? I don't know. Again, coming from sort of a Judeo-Christian background, Judeo-Christianity is very oriented towards good and evil. You know, we're very like binary about that kind of thing, and it results in very, I guess, simplified characters in our not trying to be offensive here, but basically in Christian mythology, what would be described as Christian mythology to someone who is not Christian. Maybe theology would be a better way to describe it. It just has a lot of like very distinctly binary characters in terms of like good and evil, and God is always good. You know, God is good. People who are against God are not good, and other cultures aren't quite so binary like that. You know, they have like characters who are kind of good and kind of bad, and you know, like you take the Greek gods, it's like, well, they're not all bad, but they're also petty and human about a lot of things. So it just sort of like it's interesting to me as someone who grew up in a Judeo-Christian society and with like, you know, Judeo-Christian beliefs, to try to think about like how different things would be for me if that wasn't my worldview so early on. Like, again, for example, I'll take Japan's perspective on what a demon is. Demons, or the term that is usually translated as demon, which I think it's a variety of things like yokai. Yokai is the word I usually think of with it. That word doesn't have the same evil connotation that we get in like Western Judeo-Christian culture. Like the word demon in, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just playing Castlevania. I don't know why I've gotten off on this tangent, but I'm gonna keep talking about it because I got nothing better to talk about. The word demon in from a Judeo-Christian mindset carries with it a presumption of badness. You know, like you're like, oh, demons, they're bad. They work for the devil, and the devil's against God, so they're bad. But I believe, from a Japanese perspective, a yokai can be good or evil, depending on how they feel. A yokai can be good, yokai can be bad, it just kind of depends on the circumstances. And I honestly, this is going to sound silly, I think my first introduction to that concept was Inuyasha. I think that was sort of my first real introduction to the Japanese perspective of the yokai and this idea that like a demon doesn't necessarily mean something evil, it's just something that's of another world. And it was very surprising when I first encountered it, because I'm like, oh, well, that's not what I was taught, but okay, that's interesting. So, yeah, I don't know. Different cultures, different lives, people live different lives. They have different beliefs and feelings. That's why we have to be very, very tolerant of other people. That's the message I was trying to get to. Tolerance, love, and peace. That's what I was going for. That's why I was rambling. It's not just because I'm talking about whatever. It's for love and peace. Anyway. Do this for a little bit. So this sub-weapon I'm using right here, the Wrecking Ball, is a very strange sub-weapon. Like, once I get it, I never take it off, because it becomes like it sort of becomes a default attack for me. Like, the way it works, it requires 10 MP to activate, and then as long as you hold it down, it just keeps going. And so, like, I'm recovering MP even though I'm using what amounts to a special move. And so I'm almost never without the Wrecking Ball. It's very helpful. Because again, regrettably, John can only use the sub. He can only use the whip. He can't use all those other weapons he learned to use. So he's stuck with the frickin' whip. Showtime. And, of course, the wrecking ball. Another kind of funny thing about John. John's, his voice actor for, like, his Japanese voice actor uses a lot of, English, because, again, he's supposed to be from Texas. And, some of the voice clips are really funny. But one of the funniest ones is him saying the word showtime, which is what he says when he starts to use the wrecking ball. Because he's like, showtime! It's like really funny to listen to. Showtime! John got a lot of really silly sub-weapons in Torture to Ruin too. A lot of which don't show up in this game. Like he had a sub-weapon where he could like throw a banana cream pie at someone. That's funny. I want that ability. Don't got that one though. Don't get to use the banana cream pie attack. I think at least. If I remember correctly, you don't. Ow. Ooh, that really hurt. Hook on it. All that switch does is it just makes these upper platforms move back and forth. That's still not enough. I was hoping that that would bring me low enough that I could hit that thing, but nope. Sadly, no. Honestly, whenever I come here with John, I usually bring the axe. The axe is a good thing to have in this level. You just kind of like dump it from the top. It doesn't cost too much MP, but I didn't bring it. Stupid. Yeah. Oh, come on, guys. Ah! Hey, there we go. Awesome. Think, 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 think. There we go. I'm pretty sure you have to remove all of his, like, external parts before you can fight his, like, second form. I don't know for sure, though, actually. I can't remember if that's the case or not. I know that I usually do, but I don't know if you have to or not. I say he. I mean, this is Legion, the one who is many, so... Whoa! Come on. There we go. Oh, nuts. It just barely doesn't reach. Boo. There's a trick you can do it. There's like a backdash canceling thing you can do with the kunai attack, which is what I was just using, where you can throw like a ton of them really rapidly and do it right. Like you can't do it exactly how you do it. This is also a great place to have that uppercut move I was talking about earlier. I'm fairly certain the uppercut move fits our reaches. I'm running out of time. Should've chosen better sub-weapons. Fairly certain one more hit with that flamethrower will kill me, so that's fun. Oh boy. It's bad. Y'all, I don't think it's gonna be a successful run. I think I'm gonna either run out of time, or as time gets low, I'm gonna panic and get myself killed. Never give up. Trust your instincts. The old peppy hair. Come on, get off the stage, dude. Give me a treasure. Get off the stage and give me a treasure. Come on. Treasure! I want treasures! If only he was a little bit lower, I could use the wrecking ball on him, but he's just a little bit too high up there. Come on! Die! Stupid thing. Stupid, weird tentacle monster. Oh, we're down to just a minute. That was a waste. Went right around them. Awesome. Ooh. Well, the good news is, at the very least, I will have everything I got in this stage. Wasn't much. At least I have that. Dang it, man. Just can't do enough damage yet. Blah. Boo. Well, Well, I'm glad you showed up for a little bit, Eden. I'm probably going to call it here. I'll just go ahead and end it on that tragic failure. But thank you for gifting a sub. That was nice of you. Just couldn't do enough damage. Oh well. Well, this was fun. Again, this was just something I was gonna do tonight anyway. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. I am the MoeChicken. This has been Castlevania Harmony of Despair. And thank you for stopping by.